don't give me that old growing up with the cows routine. You handed me that years ago.
I did not.
You certainly did.
Already had dinner in the kitchen, haven't we? Yes. You go ahead and enjoy yourselves. We're going to bed. Good night, Mom. Good night, Dad.
At the age of 79, Hayley Mills looks back on her special relationship with Maureen O'Hara in a subdued and honest voice. It is not only a memory of a famous film, but the loneliness of a child standing in the midst of a powerful adult world. Respect distance and the things that were never spoken plainly. This video is where belated confessions are voiced slowly but impossible to ignore. After 1982, Maureen O'Hara spent most of her time between two places, Glengariff, County Cork, and the Virgin Islands. She maintained a private rhythm of life, nearly withdrawing from the media, appearing only when invited by the film community or Irish cultural organizations. In Glengariff, Maureen was often seen walking around the bay or taking part in local festivals. According to land registry records, she owned a large property in the area from 1970 and kept it until the end of her life. From 2006, Maureen authorized a close assistant to manage her financial affairs. This document, known as a power of attorney, was made public only when a dispute arose in 2012. At that time, she was still regularly present at community events in Ireland. By May 2012, Irish newspapers reported concerns raised by members of Maureen's family. They suspected that she was a victim of financial manipulation and control over her daily life in old age. Social services stepped in to investigate and conducted a number of on-site checks. At a press meeting in Westport, Maureen O'Hara responded directly. According to Irish Central, she stated, "There is nothing scandalous about us or our behavior or what we are trying to do." At the same time, the assistant named in the power of attorney also spoke to the press. This person presented legal documents showing Maureen's signature and asserted that the allegations were unfounded. This tension caused several plans to organize local events honoring Maureen to be temporarily postponed. In September 2012, Maureen O'Hara left Ireland and moved to live with her grandson in Boise, Idaho. This was the final relocation of her life. The house in Glengariff later remained in her personal ownership for several years after her death. In 2014, the Academy awarded Maureen an honorary Oscar. This form of lifetime recognition is given for outstanding contributions to the history of cinema without a nomination. She did not attend in person for health reasons, but a video statement was recorded from her home in Idaho. On October 24, 2015, Maureen O'Hara passed away peacefully in her sleep in Boise at the age of 95. The news was confirmed by family members and the Estate Management Office in the United States. The burial was held at Arlington National Cemetery. Maureen was laid to rest beside her third husband, Charles F. Blair. On her gravestone, she bears both names Maureen O'Hara and Maureen Fitzsimons, closing a journey of nearly a century. After her passing, the house in Glengariff was listed for sale at approximately 2.8 million euros. A portion of her personal belongings and documents related to her acting career were transferred to archival institutions in Ireland. Her daughter, Bronwyn Price, died in 2016. The grandson, who had lived with Maureen in her final years, continued to handle her personal records, including rights to the use of her name and image for commemorative projects. In 2021, in an interview reflecting on the film The Parent Trap, Hayley Mills briefly shared her thoughts about her former colleague. She said, "She was wonderful, absolutely wonderful." That brief sentence, according to some journalists, is enough to evoke a generational distance bridged by quiet respect. The final chapter shows Maureen remaining resilient until the very end. That character did not emerge by chance. It was forged in Dublin before Hollywood had time to give it a name. Early passions. On August 17, 1920, Maureen Fitzsimons was born in Ranelagh, a middle-class residential area in South Dublin. Her family was Irish Catholic with 6 siblings. Her father, Charles Fitzsimons, was a business manager and a co-founder of a local football club. Maureen's mother, Marguerite Lilburn, had been a church singer and tended to encourage her children toward the arts. According to family records, it was she who enrolled Maureen at the Abbey School of Acting when she was only 9 years old. From a very early age, Maureen was exposed to the language of the stage. She read classical literature in a standard English-speaking environment, but family life was conducted entirely in Irish. That bilingual upbringing later allowed her to handle cinematic dialogue with flexibility. By 1933, the name Maureen Fitzsimons appeared on the list of supporting performers in an international stage production held in the city of Galway. Local documents described her as possessing a distinctive stage presence despite her young age. In 1934, Maureen passed the entrance examination for the Radio Éireann School of Acting. This was Ireland's first national broadcasting service, offering training in voice acting, storytelling, and performance for radio. She studied simultaneously within both systems of training stage and broadcasting. In the same year, Maureen began working as an assistant instructor at the Abbey Theatre. She was assigned to teach diction and voice training to new students, a role rarely given to a female student of minor age. This period marked a clear transition from apprenticeship to applied professional practice. According to memoir notes preserved by her daughter Maureen, once said, "I did not dream of becoming a star. I was trained to hold a role, not to let the role hold me." The timing of the statement is unspecified, but its content reflects the discipline instilled during her Dublin years. In the final 3 years of the 1930s, she received several offers from foreign production companies. In 1935, a British film crew came to Dublin to cast a supporting female role for a black-and-white film, and Maureen was included on the final shortlist for screen testing. Although she had not officially entered cinema at that time from 1936 onward, she began participating in camera screen tests. Rank Studios in London, known for training new actors, invited her to England to attend a short introductory course focused on camera performance. In 1937, Maureen made her first trip to London without her family. The journey lasted 2 months, involved no film contract, but included participation in a training program on-camera expression at Denham Studios. Records note that she was noticed by producer Charles Lawton during a screen test session in November 1938. From children's theater to radio voice training rooms, Maureen matured within an environment of discipline. In 1939, a turn occurred both in her career and her private life, and not every performance appeared on film. Hollywood turning point on June 13, 1939. Maureen O'Hara signed her marriage certificate with George H. Brown in the town of Harrow, northwest London. The wedding was held quietly without press coverage and was kept entirely private when she left England just a few weeks later. According to legal records, the marriage to George was annulled in 1941. Maureen never made the reason. Public and official documents list the status simply as annulled, a specific legal term in British marriage law at the time. In the same summer of 1939, Maureen was brought to the United States by producer Charles Lawton after she made a strong impression at a screen test in London. Mayflower Pictures became the first studio to sign her under the name Maureen O'Hara. The first film Maureen made in the United States was Jamaica Inn, released in 1939. This was the final film directed by Alfred Hitchcock before he moved to Hollywood. She then went on to appear in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1939, playing the role of Esmeralda. Maureen continued appearing in a series of period adventure films such as A Bill of Divorcement, Dance Girl Dance, and They Met in Argentina. Her acting style gradually took shape: independent, self-possessed, and unpredictable. In December 1941, just days after the attack on Pearl Harbor, Maureen married director Will Price. She had just turned 21 and already had more than 3 years of experience on film sets. This marked the second time Maureen entered a formal marriage. Will Price was a director-screenwriter and Marine Corps officer. According to several accounts, they met during a film production. After the wedding, Maureen began to reduce the frequency of her film work, focusing on family life during the wartime period. In 1944, Maureen O'Hara gave birth to her first daughter named Bronwyn Price. The child was born in Los Angeles and raised in California, while her parents continued working in the entertainment industry. This was Maureen's only child. During pregnancy and early motherhood, Maureen still appeared in several films in supporting roles. This period clearly marked a temporary slowdown in the momentum of her career. Some contracts were shortened or reassigned. According to later archival materials, there was a time when Maureen considered leaving the industry. In a letter written in 1945 to a friend in Ireland, she wrote, "I often wonder if the lights will ever mean anything again." The full letter has never been published. The war ended in August 1945. As studios began restoring full production, Maureen returned to work with renewed intensity. Her personal life had changed by then, a mother twice separated, and 3 years away from leading roles. By the end of 1945, her marriage to Will Price was described as unstable. Although no divorce had occurred at that point, many sources note that the two were living apart, and Will was facing professional difficulties. These disruptions influenced Maureen's later career decisions. When the war ended, Maureen had already lived through a period of deep upheaval. The industry moved forward without pause. In 1946, she formally entered a phase in which her fame was solidified through a series of landmark films, along with a cinematic partnership that would ignite controversy for decades. Peak of popular appeal. On January 25, 1946, Maureen O'Hara completed her naturalization process and officially became a citizen of the United States. This was a logical step as she had been settled in California since the early years of World War II and was no longer pursuing professional work in Europe. Just 1 year later, Maureen appeared in Miracle on 34th Street. The film quickly became a holiday classic, bringing her image to the American public through the role of a single mother who was both practical and gentle. The combination of striking looks, a firm speaking voice, and restrained expression helped Maureen establish herself as a type of female lead that was difficult to unsettle. Directors repeatedly cast her in roles marked by independence and agency, both within the family and in society. Within 3 years, she appeared consecutively in Sitting Pretty Comanche Territory and Against All Flags. During this period, the name Maureen O'Hara became closely associated with the image of a Western woman who was proud but knew when to step back. In 1952, she reunited with director John Ford and actor John Wayne in The Quiet Man. Her role as Mary Kate Danaher was not only an on-screen symbol of Irish womanhood, but also became a cultural model referenced in educational texts. The setting of The Quiet Man was filmed in Kong County, Mayo, an area to which Maureen had distant roots. Part of the role's success came from the fact that she did not need to force her accent or alter her linguistic rhythm to match the local setting. In 1953, Maureen and Will Price officially divorced after more than a decade together. Both retained parental rights, but she was the one who directly cared for Bronwyn. After this divorce, Maureen focused entirely on her career. From the mid-1950s onward, she accepted fewer films, prioritizing scripts that suited her age and established image. Many television projects, advertising work, and personal photo book publications also began to appear in her professional record during this period. In early March 1960, Disney announced the launch of The Parent Trap, starring Hayley Mills. This was the first film in a summer contract series Hayley signed with the studio at the age of 13 following her success in Pollyanna. By June 1960, Maureen O'Hara was officially selected for the role of the mother in the film. According to internal records, Disney initially offered a fee lower than her usual rate. which Maureen declined, maintaining her standard compensation. Beyond the issue of payment, there was also disagreement over billing placement. In the original contract, she was guaranteed top billing, but after the film was completed, Hayley Mills' name was given priority on posters and in publicity materials. From July to September 1960, filming took place in California and several domestic locations. The original working title was We Belong Together. Split-screen techniques were used to allow Hayley to play both twin roles, with stand-in actress Susan Henning assisting. In her memoir, Maureen recalled that filming dialogue scenes with the same person in two different positions was extremely exhausting and demanded extraordinarily precise camera alignment. This was her first time participating in a film with such a visual structure. The Parent Trap was released on June 21, 1961. Hayley Mills played the twin sisters Susan and Sharon, while Maureen portrayed the mother Margaret Maggie McKendrick, living in Boston. Critics described her performance as steady, nuanced, and strongly supportive. After the initial premiere, Maureen did not continue promoting the film with the cast. She was absent from the New York launch tour and did not take part in interviews with Disney-affiliated media. From that point until the end of her life, she made no further films for the studio. According to auction records from Bonhams, a set of letters between Maureen and the studio confirms that she had requested Disney to honor the agreed billing order on posters. One line in the correspondence stated, "I accepted the billing as agreed. It was changed without my knowledge." Although the tension did not lead to legal action, internal records show that she declined all subsequent offers from Disney. The termination of the collaboration was kept private by both sides, with no public statements issued to the press at the time. The film concluded and its echoes lingered, but Maureen chose to step away from the game. No more leading roles, no more fee negotiations. She moved into a new chapter, one defined by a man, an airline, and an entirely different kind of presence. Private life upheavals. In 1968, Maureen O'Hara married Charles F. Blair, a former U.S. Air Force brigadier general and an executive in commercial aviation. The wedding took place in the Caribbean without a large ceremony, but with the presence of both families. Charles had an extensive military background, having served in World War II and worked as a test pilot on transoceanic routes. After leaving the military, he operated the small airline Antilles Airboats, based in the Virgin Islands. After the marriage, Maureen significantly reduced her film appearances. She shifted her focus to supporting Charles in the management and operations of the airline. She took part in many promotional trips for Caribbean tourism in her role as the owner's wife. Maureen spent most of her time living on the island of St. Croix. Some articles from that period referred to her as the only actress who owned a commercial pilot's uniform, even without an official flight license. In 1970, Maureen O'Hara purchased a large house in Glengariff, County Cork, Ireland. The house was not only a property asset, but also a symbolic link to her Irish roots, frequently mentioned by her in later interviews. She once said of the house, "I did not buy real estate. I keep a piece of Irish land beside me." This location also became where she spent many holidays and hosted guests from the United States, mainly journalists and members of the artistic community. Although her on-screen appearances declined, Maureen still appeared occasionally on television, mostly as a guest or cultural figure. Film records from this period contain almost no major productions. During a television recording in Ireland in 1974, Maureen shared, "I no longer need leading roles. I have had one role for life, and that is being Charles's woman." This statement was widely quoted by newspapers at the time. In early 1978, Charles F. Blair was killed in a plane crash while piloting a commercial flight. The incident was investigated and confirmed as an accident caused by engine failure. Maureen lost the man she once described as my entire sky. After Charles's death, Maureen assumed control of Antilles Airboats as its nominal chairwoman. She did not manage daily operations, but retained financial approval authority and represented the company at official events until 1981. In closing, Maureen O'Hara was no longer a star in the commercial sense. She became a post-Hollywood female archetype, living between Irish roots, past fame, and tangible corporate responsibility. Maureen O'Hara was not only an actress, she was a cultural structure that once existed in Hollywood history, representing a generation of women who were trained, tested, and able to refuse. From Dublin to Boise, from Technicolor to an airline control panel, Maureen maintained a consistent way of life, not asking for roles, not seeking titles, only preserving dignity as a straight line without bends. Across more than half a century on screen and behind the camera, she left behind no crisis of image. Every silence came at the right moment. Every statement was made in the service of truth. If you once knew Maureen O'Hara through only a single role, try revisiting that film through the eyes of today. To see not just a character, but an entire philosophy of life behind the lights. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss other cinematic portraits where each individual does not merely act, but lives as a declaration.